Senator Johnson Sakaja.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation again.
Asante.
It's good for you to occupy the hot seats.
Always a pleasure being here. As I always say, this is the realest talk in the morning. Always great to be here. It's been a while. You guys haven't invited me. I don't know who you guys have been having.
I've even called you by the name that your father calls you.
Yes, Johnson. How did you know he calls me that?
I'm clairvoyant.
Calls me Sir Johnson.
That's what he calls you.
That's what he calls me.
It's Sir Johnson.
Sir Johnson.
Where?
He used to call me Sir Johnson, the Prime Minister, when I was a kid. And he stuck to that.
Well,
That
he
was
spoke
it.
the future.
Yeah, where's he doing?
That was it.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
We're well. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Really?
Yeah, 38 days to the election. Geared up, dealing with everything that comes as it comes. I understand it. And very excited about conversations I keep having with the people of Nairobi each and every single day. People's resolve is clear. They want a city of order and dignity, hope and opportunities. And I'm really enjoying this time. In fact, I hope that even after the election, I'll just continue this series of, just listening to the people, hearing them express their aspirations and providing solutions. That becomes then part of the difference.
Have you been campaigning in the last couple of weeks?
Yes.
Or have you just been spending your time going to IEBC, going to court, going to
Well, of course, that
looking
process
at your documents?
and my gown and all that. That process is really meant to slow me down. But every single day, I think with the exception of yesterday, I've been out there. Yesterday I had a court thing. Today I have one. And there's this circus, revoke and revoke, don't revoke, But I understand the game. And, without going into too much details, because it's in court, I said before that it's really a political thing that's happening. The rules are clear for everyone. That before you're cleared by IBC, you take your credentials, what they're asking for now. You take your certificate, you take your transcripts. If it's from a foreign institution, you go to the CUE. The CUE writes to the counterpart organization in whichever country, whichever the Council of Higher Education, which then writes to the issuing university, and then they're supposed to respond back to verify that yes, the first thing they verify is this institution
Exists
and is certified, is accredited, and then that this document that then has been presented, the institution owns it. And that all happened between the 5th and the 6th of June. Thereafter, I went to IBC. They received it. Then, of course, the circus began. You throw doubts into this person. You say, oh, he said this last time. Why is this not there? Send bloggers all over. Then you revoke. And then you say, okay, now we'll investigate. You revoke. Then you start investigations. Then you revoke again. The rush this time that they issued a letter yesterday was to prevent the IBC from gazetting my name. They went to the tribunal. They lost at the tribunal. I actually took them to court for contempt and for judicial review, because you cannot have a decision made by an organization like CUE by an individual, because it's a commission. A commission first communicates through the law, through its commission secretary. Number two, a number of commissioners must meet to make a decision. But it has always been one, Professor Chacha Nyaigoti, who is being used politically, and I've said it before. He is the one leading Azimio campaigns in Migori. It's on record. I can give you the facts. He's the one who's hosted Raila's campaigns there. And in fact, the first letter that he wrote to revoke was signed by him on the letterhead of the CEO. Completely unprocedural. And then we go to court. Just for the judicial process, there must be fair administrative action. And then, in contempt, he then communicates again, issues a press conference at 7. In fact, in the history of Kenya, this is the first time the CUE is discussing an individual's credentials. Since, I know I want to set records in this country, but not such records to be discussed by an institution. The first person. And I responded. And I said, look, there's no two set of laws in this country. There's no set of requirements for SAKAJA and for the rest of Kenya. That for everybody else, bring your certificate. For SAKAJA, bring your meal card, your gown, tell us, your timetable, all those years back. In fact, if he was asked the same questions, he'd have no answer.
Pictures of your graduation.
Pictures of graduation, as if that's necessary.
Receipts of your payments.
Yes, receipts. I mean, how many do you have receipts?
Receipts.
Yeah.
I don't even have receipts for the shopping I did last week.
Last week, But I understand it's a political process.
Okay.
And I have the qualifications to run for governor of Nairobi. Not just the qualifications. I have the passion, the will, the competence, the experience to actually take our city to the next level. And so we are still in court on that matter. The truth will come out. And this, these guys, I understand how they operate. And that's why I'm very calm. I understand. Remember, for the last 8-9 years, even more, I've been at the center of the political strategy for that side. So I know who says what, who then uses what approach, who asks for another drink, and then who comes late, who will sit for 2 minutes, who is pushing what agenda where. I understand completely. Today is Friday. I'm sure after this, they'll say, okay, now since you've dented this credibility by that letter, let's organize an arrest this afternoon. I understand it.
But let
it's
me
part
ask,
of the game.
Why are you being targeted?
Because Nairobi is important. And they realize that their candidate, who is actually a project, who is being pushed, who didn't want to.
Johnson, even you are a project.
No, I'm the people's project. I'm my own. I'm not relying on any state. I'm not being pushed. I'm not being paid for billboards.
It's the terminology.
Okay, they're candidate. Let me just say they're candidate.
Yes.
The only way that they can win is by me not being on the ballot. And that's the intention. Okay. For whatever nefarious plans they might have, or even good plans that they think I will not accomplish. And I tell them, let the people decide. Nairobians are not, an immature populace. They're very mature. They can make their decision. They know their leaders. They have seen, in fact, even they've tried to suppress polls that are coming out. And then we have information that, yes, this was the result, but we was to bump up this person, punguza yako. Ultimately, I think I'll have the opportunity to really, let the facts behind everything come out. Their letters, for instance, yesterday before they wrote that letter, they say that, they've reached out to me, I've refused to go. They refuse to acknowledge that my lawyers, we wrote and said, look, we're very ready to come, but we're in court with you. There's a hearing on Friday, I'll come on Monday. They have that letter. They said, we went to Uganda. They sent bloggers to Uganda, you've seen them. They sent bloggers. They say, we sent our team to investigate and we found no evidence. They forget to say that they got a letter from the council in Uganda yesterday, the day before yesterday, saying that, yes, you've asked us to investigate, we're investigating, but as it is, this is what we did. And as it stands, these credentials are valid. They go on to say, because I know you'll ask me, they say that, in 2017, you said you had a degree in actuarial science from the University of Nairobi, and you signed that. First of all, that was not a requirement in the 2017 election. By 2016, I'd already gotten this one. I was going for Senate. I wrote it as, first of all, even the documents they're saying are not signed by me. So they're making so many, and I understand how they work, they're making so many mistakes. Yes, I studied actuarial science at the University of Nairobi.
For how many years?
For 4 years. There's a document they keep spreading around of students to be discontinued. And it shows you the reason there was, fees and whatnot. And of course, it was a difficult process. There are few units I didn't complete. But the ceremony of graduation is not what confers the knowledge to you, So and by the time I was now, able to go back, I was too embarrassed and shy to go back to class. And that's something I'll complete. I'll finish it through 3-4 units. But there's no law that says you must bring a degree from the University of Nairobi, is there?
Senators, all of these things are going on. It's like we're looking at an arena, right? And it's Senator SAKAJA in the arena with whomever they are, right? Yeah. And the people who are in the audience are Kenyans, are Nairobians, who are essentially saying, are we going to vote for this man to become governor? And so they're looking for one thing clear from you to say very clearly, do I have a degree or not?
But I've just explained. The requirement to run for governor, you must have a degree. I have a degree. I took it. They accepted it. They accredited it. And then they started playing the games. I didn't go there with a newspaper. I went with the certificate. I went with the transcripts. I went with everything.
Would you say, Senator, that with what's going on, that you are actually being wind assisted greatly? Because even people who didn't know you now know you. Well, people who had never heard of you have now heard of you.
I think sometimes, when you set a trap for somebody, it becomes almost a blessing in disguise. I've had 7-8 headlines, some people have a long career in politics. They don't get one.
Well, you've done. You've done.
Or, there's a day when Professor Chacha and the article I was talking about is the first one is on the 20th of I'll get it 2021 on the Star, how he hosted Azimio etc. I mean, the day he gave his press conference and I responded, I was live on TV from 9 to 9:15 on 3 stations. And my comms people tell me that is 17 million worth
Value.
of there's a PR value and the advertising value. I'll never afford that. I'm just a young guy from this city. So I take it in my stride. I'm a politician. I'm resilient. I understand what it takes. And they say, no pain, no palm. No thorns, no throne. No girl, no glory. No thorns, no throne.
Beyond,
No cross, no crown.
beyond just trying to stifle your candidacy,
Yes.
who did you offend?
Well, I guess I offended my former party, my former boss, who is still the president, who could not understand why I would go
But
to
Johnson,
the party I went to.
did you have to mention his name in a speech?
Yes.
Why?
Because, some say that you never bite the hand that feeds you, and I acknowledge the journey we had gone through. But when that hand starts strangling you, you must scream.
You couldn't talk to the hand.
No.
Why not?
Because the decision on who becomes governor of Nairobi is for the people of Nairobi. It's not any individual.
Which means there was a conversation that had been had.
Yeah, I mean, people have been sent out to me as recently as last week, asking me, it's gonna be very bad for you in CAFs. Just let this, just go for holiday. Say you're sick, step down, and we'll make all this thing go away. Just step down from this race. I promise you. And they've used very close friends. They've used a very close senator to me. They've used, some of them. Remember, these are people I've related to closely from 2007. So I understand them very well.
I have
So
to ask
if
that
you-
question.
And I just want to say, emphatically, that I will not step down. That I am properly on the ballot. I'm the candidate for UDA and for Kenya Kwanza, for Nairobi governor, for the position of governor. God willing, I'll get elected on the 9th.
Eric.
You've worked very closely with the president and those close to him.
Yes.
Like you've said, for many years,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You were the chairman of his party that won an election. You were nominated to parliament. You have been a senator. You've worked closely with these people. So all along, you had expressed a desire to one day be governor of Nairobi.
Yeah.
Even in 2017, at some point, you had said you'd like to be the governor of Nairobi. Before then, you moved back into wanting to be the senator for Nairobi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So the question that I ask is, why would it be such a big deal if you are on the ticket? Are you so diametrically opposed in terms of your ideals and your ideas for Nairobi City County?
I don't think so.
Because
in
I
fact,
mean,
if
it's like
anything-
saying if SAKAJA is there, then we are doomed. But if SAKAJA is not there, then we are okay. I mean,
You see, and I understand the narrative on that side. And there's a way they look at our city. As part of their political negotiations, remember in the race, and I'm sure you saw all the polls before April, moving on to May, I was ahead, followed by Tim Onyonyi, then undecided. And then there was Bishop Wanjiru, and then Ngatia. And then later, Polycarp Igathe came at 10%. And the same thing, let me just put it this way. The same thing that they did to Tim Wanyonyi is what was due to me if I stayed in that formation. It's very clear. Because their argument was that there's a political interest or political community that is saying if we're supporting Raila for the presidency, we must get this position.
Okay.
And that was their balancing act. And I told them, look, I cannot change where I was born. I cannot change my identity. I am who I am. I have a passion for this city. I was born and raised here. And I want to serve. And even in your polls, it shows you that across communities, across tribes, across age groups, I'm ahead. And so that discussion didn't go well. And then I said, Bas, kama hapa sitakikari na sina nafasi, sinitafute pale nitapata nafasi. And for where I'll get space.
You've
That's
actually
as simple as it.
You've answered the question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So, in the space you're in before, I like this word space. You know,
It's
covers-
space.
It covers many
political
things.
space,
Yeah.
space. Now, in the space that you're in,
Yeah.
do I hear you to be saying that your old friends in Jubilee had been of the view that you've just expressed, and you were of a different view?
Exactly.
So, because you were of a different view, that is why you decided, well, there are other parties.
And not just that. Remember, since 2019, because I'd always said that for me, my political contract with Uhuru Kenyatta ends in 2022. I've said that very many times. And you remember the funeral of His Excellency Musalia's mom. I said, now it's transfer window. Those things I've learned, kufunga nini. So you let me now do
You're a
the
free
thing.
agent now.
A free agent, it's transfer window. And I started working with Musalia, someone who I have great respect for, who has a lot of, ideas and thoughts for this country. We started working together. And then we joined Kenya Kwanza.
Johnson is
So it is not just about space is a big consideration. You know, we say even like in business,
Mheshimiwa Johnson,
location.
is that how politics really works? I mean,
Yeah.
somebody has been. Yes, I understand. People make movements, people change, and often it's
It's my first change ever, actually.
well, someone has to start somewhere.
I don't want to change much more.
You know,
I want to revive my party TNA next year when the
What?
window opens.
No,
and
what you're
bring it to
saying
Kenya Kwanza. Yes.
is actually not new in this country.
Yeah.
Someone being in this party doesn't see it as something that's going to serve the interest. They move on.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
But it doesn't prevent those you move away from being unhappy.
Yes. And they warned me of consequences.
Oh, but there are always consequences.
And of course, every choice has a consequence. Like, look, I'm not whining. I'm saying I'm facing it head on.
You
every
know what's
single
happening.
day. I know what's happening. I know how they plan.
You
I
know
know why
the
they
game.
plan. I understand that game so well. Imagine, it's like teaching you about radio. You've done it for years, so I understand it. But ultimately, we keep our eye on the prize.
Okay.
The institutions in this country that unfortunately some are showing state capture, doing things against the law, against the courts, against their own rules. I've shown you the direct conflict of interest of the current chairman of the CUE. I've shown you, I've given you the articles. I've shown you just now, you've seen 2 of the 3 of them, where the person who is heading a political campaign that benefits from me being put down is the one writing letters unilaterally without looking, without the commission sitting, without them agreeing, and of course now they'll be forced to agree. If you look at even the letter written yesterday, it's in the same exact language as the petitioner's claims in court. Is it the same? Are they the petitioner?
Mheshimiwa
I went to
Johnson.
DCI. I took myself. I said, look, the DCI has pronounced himself on was it the Standard of the Nation? I think on the Nation, clearly saying that we shall not surrender our capital city and describing me. And I said, what do you mean you shall not surrender? Are you the one surrendering? It's the people of Kenya who vote. Your institution is supposed to be non-partisan. And the statement I wrote, I said, please confirm those remarks. Because what part of the electoral process are you playing? To say that you shall surrender or not surrender? How many votes do you have in Nairobi? Maybe I should come ask for votes from you. They're trying to use these institutions. I know them. I know exactly how they work. And
But
so,
But
humbly.
Why this particular one?
Why?
You've played this game. So when you're playing the game, you
Yeah.
look at somebody's likely weak point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you try to push, try to exploit so you can remove and break the rivets.
Yeah,
So why this particular issue of your education?
because of the University of Nairobi, and I've just explained.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
You studied for 4 years
Yes.
actuarial science.
Yes.
You did
The
not
4th year was your
graduate.
last year.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
You did not graduate.
But you had a
I did.
resit.
I had a few supplementaries. I did 2.
Yes.
And I'll sort that out because remember in 2007 is when I just to try and also be able to pay fees. I was really struggling to sort all those out. Not all of us had scholarships and the ability to. I became a driver in President Kibaki's campaign.
Okay.
And that's how I got into Siasa. And I went in as a driver and I was trying to, be able to balance both. It proved a bit difficult. And I rose up the ranks within that campaign. In fact, I'm very happy. The ones who've spread that newspaper clipping of students to be discontinued. And it says down there, please confirm your fees balances. It was really about
It was about the school fees.
about fees mainly.
All right.
And so after that, as a young person, and now of course you're earning something and you're being utilized President Kibaki really, we became quite close. He depended on me on a few things. I played a very central role towards the end of his election. And in the beginning of the fresh year, I met Uhuru Kenyatta. I'd already started, a side hustle in Nairobi. And so time moved. I felt too shy because when I joined Treasury to work with President Kenyatta, I really couldn't get the job because I didn't have the credential. And I said, oh my God, now what do I do? Do I go back or do I start another process? I saw something online which, through distance and all those details will be brought out in court. I started doing that because I just was too shy and embarrassed to go back to class. Yeah, simple as that. But doesn't mean that I don't have that knowledge. I have
Okay. So you found this other university
Yes.
and decided to enroll.
I
Take
decided
us
to enroll
through
because
that. Because it's important that
the
everybody
details
understands.
the details of that,
Yeah.
because it's like any other program. There are many
Was
programs
it
that
an
we do.
online program? Was it distant learning?
Just take
It was-
us through that,
it was-
the entire thought process and your application and admission and studying.
Those are the questions that CU is asking for, and I will let that
People
process play
just
out.
want to know.
I did it like any other external student, but I'm giving you information. I'm being very open with all of this,
Yes.
but I also don't want to jeopardize what is before the court. Because what you're asking me now is what Chacha was asking me.
What are you
When
not
did
allowed
admit
to
it?
say, Mheshimiwa?
Sub judice is when you say something that can affect the outcome of your process. So there is what they're asking for. There's what the court.
Are you allowed to
wants.
say
We're
what?
not talking about the merits of what's in court.
No.
No,
You went
yeah.
to school.
I went to school. I did the
If
program.
you
that
went
you
to
can talk
school,
about.
You can talk about whether you went to school.
I went to school.
And what you were thinking about
And
at
how
that
you
point,
went
how
to
you made
school.
the decision, what you went through. That's all we're asking.
Well, I made the decision to pursue this program,
As
as an external student.
Okay.
As an
It was,
external
it was
student.
distant learning.
It was distance learning.
Okay.
So as an external student, I pursued that program. I did it slowly from 2012, and I finished. Simple as that.
And how long did you
And
finish?
the institutions, that was around 5 years.
Okay.
And the institutions that are required then to verify the details of, okay, is this accredited? Is this allowed? Is this institution proper? Is this documentation okay? Have all said it is okay. No one has changed
Did
that.
the school require you to actually have a physical presence at any given point in time?
No.
Because I asked because some distant learning programs,
Yeah.
you are required to appear even if it is for 2 weeks
Yeah.
or something, but others you do not.
No.
But we also know from what we have looked into that university was accredited and has been accredited to offer distant learning. Yes.
Yeah, and I can come back next week after the court process. But everything is above board. I have nothing to hide at all. At all.
But Mheshimiwa, the thing that I really have to ask you,
Yeah.
you see, when did you get into politics? Which year?
Like, what's
Okay,
politics?
driving for the President Kibaki, you got into politics.
No, even before that, I was involved in the 05 referendum as a student leader in Sonu at the University of Nairobi.
But if you're talking about leadership, it began in school, didn't it?
From like being a head boy.
Yes.
Yes. Began in school. Yeah, that is true.
So it started
That's
then.
the trajectory.
So that's why I asked. Politics. You were a politician even in school.
A leader. I prefer the word leader. Or a
I
leader
prefer- I
in the
prefer-
political sphere.
I prefer the word politician. Okay.
No problem.
Then you got into Sonu.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then you got into real politics.
I got into before Sonu. I was the vice president of the Actual Students Association,
Okay.
and then Sonu.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
real
now,
politic.
Now you got into real politics, and now you got into national politics.
Yes.
All right. How many years has it been?
It's been many years.
And you have been very close to power, extremely close to power.
Yeah.
You have seen what happens to people who are not liked by power.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you think was going to happen to you?
Well, why would I think anything would happen to me when I had the credentials by 2016?
No. What did you not take into account? The very things that we're seeing, you're going to court.
Yeah.
Everything that we're discussing here.
Yeah.
Had you not foreseen it?
Leave alone that. There's someone who said, I think it was Masinde Muliro, who used to say, when you get into politics and leadership, be ready to be arrested, to go bankrupt, or to even die. So this is nothing. And I've been ready for it. And I'm ready for whatever it takes. Because I know the cost and the journey and the cross that it takes to get to leadership positions. No one has had it easy. Before President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto got into presidency, they went through the ICC process. They went through so much. Before, Raila Odinga became prime minister, he's been detained. He's been, it's a journey. And remember, it's a high-stakes election. Nairobi as an economy commands, a huge percentage of our GDP. It's high stakes. They're high interest. There are people who sit every single day to plan against me. But I don't fear that. I don't, because I understand the industry I'm in. So, as I've said, the institutions that are charged with it, and the court, the IBC, DC, are seized of the matter. I'm confident. I'm still on the ballot. I will be on the ballot, inshallah, God willing. And if the people of Nairobi so wish and vote for me, I'll be the governor of Nairobi, and that's what I want to focus on.
There's something I want to ask you.
Yeah.
God willing, if you become governor, when you become governor,
Yes.
among the political discussions that the Brotherhood of Governors could have, is this little thing about the qualifications we need for the positions.
Yes.
And I ask this question because I don't think there's a study that has been done in this country that points to what was assumed in our constitution, that a degree confers upon you, or the whole of that degree, a certain ability for efficacy and ability to discharge your duties better than somebody else who hasn't. Because if there is nothing concrete that points to it, this is a requirement that needs to be looked into. If anything, sidelined. Because in countries where they've actually done the research, and I'm quoting one which was done in Sweden, they found that one of the things that education did do, higher education, university education, it pointed people in the direction of why it is they didn't get into politics.
I like that. Yes. For me, if you ask me, I think
Senator, if you don't mind,
a degree requirement is important, and for the aptitude.
Let's talk about that after this quick break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We are talking about his trials and tribulations and his dreams for Nairobi. City had asked you the question.
Yeah.
Is the degree important for a governor?
It's extremely important.
Why?
You see, what it was trying to cure was this past of leaders who had zero aptitude, could not relate to the people, could not decipher, understand issues. For a CEO position, I think some minimum educational requirements.
Mheshimiwa, remove relating to the people. Relating to people and education don't have to correlate.
No, relating policy to the people.
Thank you.
Just translating this policy then means this. Of course, there are some people who are professors who cannot relate policy to to people, but I think it was just a threshold. Of course, Kenya is one of the only countries with that requirement. For me, I don't see a problem with it, despite the fact that only 4% of this country have that, achievement. It has shown many countries, even the hugest, the biggest economy in the world, the US, even to become president, you just need to be a citizen. But since that's our requirement, anybody who vies for governor should have that.
You see, my problem is not with the qualification. You see, it runs against a certain process of things in this country where when you apply for a job, because when one wants to be a governor, an MP, you're applying for a job.
Yeah.
The only thing is the committee that vets you is much bigger. And and the decision they make, it is a voting process.
Yes.
You are normally asked for a certain academic qualification, and they ask for other things.
Yes.
There are things you're told is an added advantage. Sometimes it's a language, sometimes it's years of experience in a specific field.
Yeah.
Our situation doesn't allow for this because somebody could have grown up the ranks. Let's say you start with a certificate, and with the time and work experience and training, we are at a time and point in our history where academia takes into account actual experience and converts it.
Yes.
It's wisdom personified in my mind because the academic qualification is supposed to get you there. This experience that somebody has, that's what it's supposed to get you. But it gives you theoretical knowledge which can help you understand this better. But then you then begin the argument of, do you learn better by reading or do you learn better by doing?
By doing.
Precisely. So,
nothing is a better teacher than actually being on the job.
Precisely.
And in fact, some people are proposing that, look, some of this, recognition of prior experience and prior learning translates to it. But for now, that's the law we have. I know it was struck off for other cadres, like for MPs and for MCAs. And there's a legal question out there that then if it was struck off for this category, what about this one? But for now, it's what we have. There are people who walk around even calling themselves doctors and professors, but when they open their mouth, you have no evidence that they're a professor. Or there's nothing to prove.
Mheshimiwa, striking it off is simplifying a situation that is not simple. And that is why I've given this presentation. I'm saying there are other things you need to consider, not just one. It's one in addition to this, or this instead of the other. Because if you take this job, these electoral positions that seriously, then for heaven's sake, make the requirements, give the necessary thought process for that requirement as well. Don't just say degree or no degree, diploma or no diploma.
To be very honest with you, deep down, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But I doubt right now I'm the right person to give my real view around it, because mine is being questioned and I have it. But deep down, I don't think it's a measure of leadership. But I think it's just a filter they try to put. It's not the correct filter. You remember before there used to be English and there used to be a language test and all that before you get to parliament, where you can talk and write. You could read and write, etc. For now, the requirement is you have a degree. If you're running for governor, you better have a degree. I'm running for governor, I have a degree.
Senator, how do you think this all then plays on the race moving forward? And hear me out, because there are certain things that are being questioned overall, and saying, okay, so if this is being questioned, if this is being suspected, then will my position as per where my support lay for senator going towards governor change?
Well,
how will you deal with that? Because it's a reality that you must face, that then people's mindset may have changed because of all of this that they're seeing. How will you deal with it?
Actually, my support has gone up like 10-15%. I do polling every 2 weeks. Because once people see that it's an unfair political onslaught on this person, and they can tell that out of all hundreds of candidates, the focus on this person, the use of state resources, sending ambassadors to intimidate institutions, calling commissions, just, the sheer abuse of power and authority and state officers who should be actually non-partisan, then it has, to a great extent, increased support. For those who feel that these allegations have dented credibility, there's always time for them to understand the truth. And the most beautiful thing about the truth is it has a way of showing up.
So you don't feel as though there's anything that you need to do to claw back on maybe anything that may have been lost along the way in terms of credibility?
I need to keep my eyes on the prize. You see, what you do when you're dealing in a political battle is put yourself in the shoes of your opponent and say, what would be their best case outcome or scenario? What do they want you to do? They want you to lose focus. They want you to start fighting that fight instead of going to speak to Nairobians about what you want to do to them. And, as a leader, and I've held this for a long time, remember during the revenue debate, during all my, past, tough, easy times, as a leader, you should never fear to be misunderstood. If your conscience is clear and you're doing the right thing, keep your eyes on the prize. Do it. They'll understand at some point. So I stay focused. There could be a dent. I agree. There could be. I never worry about what I can't change. I focus on what I can. But I have 38 days. Let me focus. I mean, this has been a long time coming. They say the water pot breaks at the door.
Right.
I will. City should add that to your saying for
Tomorrow's proverb.
Tomorrow's proverb. But I assure you, I mean, it's a game we understand. We have 38 days, 22 hours, 13 minutes to the opening of the ballot. I am now shifting gear and, taking my campaign to the next level, throughout the city. I intend to launch my manifesto on the 10th of July. I'd rather spend more time focusing on that and addressing this issue. Let me tell you, character is not defined by an allegation against you. Anyone can say anything, though. Tomorrow there could be an allegation against Eric on the papers. If people have power, you'll be on the cover of the Nairobian. They'll take a photo of a girl somewhere and say, this happened, this didn't happen. And I'll pay a CEO here in this building, and I'll push it if I have 1 million or 2 million shillings. Does that change who you are? It doesn't. Ultimately, the truth comes out.
There's a question that has been asked. It's a simplistic question, but yet it's actually very profound. The question has been asked of many leaders who have claimed to have done something. They asked, okay, so who are your classmates? I ask this question because have people you went to college that come out to defend you, people who know you and say, look, Bwana, this guy was an actor. For heaven's sake, I went to school with this guy.
And what forum?
Social media forum.
From where?
You see, let me state why I'm saying this. We all have friends and we all have communities who know us and believe in us.
Can I tell you the most credible person who's come out to defend me?
Yes.
Is the institution. Remember, this was distance learning. I was not
No.
people here.
I'm not even interested in the distant learning. I'm interested in the University of Nairobi.
Oh, yeah.
You see,
very many people. In fact,
that is the question I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. In fact, some of my professors have reached out Of course, they don't go to social media, etc. They've written and said, why this onslaught? And that's me. That's our student. These 2, 3, 4 units, you just complete.
Just complete.
I'm like, don't worry, I'll do it. You understand why I didn't come at that time. Already more or less a public figure, going to sit in class. There are many ways to do it. In fact, there's some which have been done. But my classmates are there. We're in our alumni groups. I can tell you which, who I used to sit with for lunch. Those who I was their leader in campus at the university. They've come out. But let me tell you, when you bring it down to the subjective measure of social media, as it is today, with many paid bloggers, people who know nothing about you, putting such incredulous claims, and I love their zeal, because it's their zeal that's finishing their case, because they're contradicting themselves day in and day out. Then sometimes silence is actually golden. Sometimes
it is. The reason why I bring it up is precisely this. Your case is in the court of public opinion.
Yes.
Social media is one of the key players in that particular sphere. Now, there is nothing that can be considered too much work or too hard to do. Because our findings, I know you are the University of Nairobi, because I have found out you are the University of Nairobi. I know.
And you should have seen the fight to remove me from the website. There was a huge fight. And the guys that told me, these calls are too heavy. To remove you from the list of notable people who come to this university, who've gone through alumni, etc. I mean, it's all there, and it's okay. For me, I understand that can be dealt with by people. My blinkers are on. My eyes are on the prize.
Do you think there'll come a time when they will ease off?
No.
Or do you think, if God willing, you actually do win the gubernatorial seat, that the onslaught will even be greater?
They'll ease off between the 25th and the 30th of August, because the swearing in is on the 25th. That's when I'll be sworn in, God willing. And they'll try and re-strategize. They'll try and calculate how many MCAs they have, or we have and don't have, and then they'll start all over again. But I think by that time, everything will be clear. Remember, there's an election, there's a presidential election, there's MPs, there's MCAs, there's governor, senator, women rep. They might try to regroup. But what I know for sure, even within Azimio, by the way, and I'm just being completely, I mean, you can check your friends there. Even within their candidates, within the city, I have a lot of support from them. From the MCA to the top level, apart from, of course, my opponent. And they understand, they see what is happening. Many of them are like, we have to keep quiet because we're here, but Chinyamaji, talk to this person, we want to support you. The day before yesterday, I had such an overwhelming reception in Sarangombe, in Kibra, where many even of Azimio are not campaigning. And many, of course, of our side have not been going to. And I went there and they're like, wewe ndio wetu. Usitulize ile ingine, lakini hii ni yako. And they know that.
So it's you they're supporting, not necessarily UDA.
There are many supporters of mine who are supporting me, but unfortunately, on them, are not supporting my presidential candidate or my party. Very many. Remember the last election, my presidential candidate, Uhuru Kenyatta, had 700,000 in Nairobi. I had 840,000. Meaning I got votes from Jubilee then, and also from NASA, Azimio, or whatever you call it, ODM.
NASA.
Remember as well, before the handshake, I'd done very unsavory handshake-esque things. Honorable Loach was being beaten up by Jubilee people at Pan-Africa on the 26th of October. I went and jumped and I held him and said, if you want to beat him, come through me. I was not supposed to be doing that. When Babu Owino was in a jail cell in Parklands police station because of whatever he did, and Raila Odinga went to try and remove him and Wetangula, I went there, I risked my political career because I believe politics is not enmity. And we should never misuse agencies of state. And I went and I got him out. That was very unpopular amongst the followers of Jubilee. But 2-3 weeks later, there was a handshake and suddenly that's the right thing to do. I've been consistent. And I've always said, Nairobi, siasa si wadu. It's about siasa safi. And I keep telling my people, here, is there a Kikuyu pothole or a Luya lack of water or a Kamba, is there an ODM? If you have a problem today in the county, will you go to the ODM house or you'll go to the to City Hall? Will you go to UDA house or you'll go to City Hall? Look at the individual you're voting for. And many, I tell you, Eric, I tell you guys, many voters of Nairobi are with that. They're like, sisi hapa juu, tunapatia Ruto, na wewe, ama tunapatia Raila, na wewe, but and the saying in the streets in Nairobi is like, vyama ni vingi, governor ni mjamo. That's what they're saying. And so you can understand the desperation. They hurriedly put together letters. the late night press conferences, the intimidating calls, the pleas to step down. I understand. And I just want to assure them, I imagine there's nothing I would do detrimental to
If
anybody
you-
who's done things right.
You'll be a good person.
I'm not vindictive. I'm not bitter. Even if I mentioned individuals, I have no single bitter bone in my body. Never.
If Mheshimiwa, this same God willing, you do not win,
Yes.
what do you plan to do?
Well, I'll go on living life. It's not a matter of life and death, whether I get elected or not. But what the governor of Nairobi does is a matter of life and death for many Nairobians.
It is.
It is.
Since you have kind words to say about fellow politicians,
Yeah.
do you have any kind words to say about your competitor?
My competitor is an interesting character. He's someone I've worked with before. We campaigned together in 2017. I remember when Sonko's manifesto was put together, largely at my office in KICC 26th floor. And that's when I met him, when he had just come in as a running mate. I don't think he's a bad person. I just sympathize with him because you can tell with every activity that he's being pushed. And I sympathize with him. I don't think he wanted to leave the boardroom. And unfortunately, a politician without conviction is like a musician without rhythm. It shows. And the crowd will just cringe.
A dancer with one leg.
Yeah, it's a dancer with one leg.
You know,
But
Sakaja-
I don't wish him any ill.
Saksa, I have known you for a number of years, and I know you to be an honest person, right? In that incident during COVID, when you got arrested and all, you came out the following day and you said, I own up, I messed up, I apologize, I am sorry, it won't happen again. It was wrong what I did, right? Yes. And that gave you several bonga points. People, they said, okay,
he's been honest.
He's honest. Several such incidences where you've come out and explained yourself, honest. This morning, you've told us, I went through actuarial science at the University of Nairobi, got to a certain degree, got to a certain level, a certain stage. I had to drop out because of lack of school fees. And
Not
later,
necessarily fees and time and fees, and then just life moved on, and then I felt
and then later you felt, I have moved on. I'm not comfortable going back to class with a different group of students. That's honesty. Now, what I've been wishing that I'd hear from you is just you coming out to tell your story and own your story. Remove this monkey that's been placed on your shoulder. This is what I have done.
I think I've said
went
that
to
over
this
the last
point.
30 minutes,
I went here at this point. I chose Team University. Why? Because of this, and the other. And from Team University, it was online course. I graduated on this particular day. I got my certificate. Post the certificate on social media. Let everybody see it. Remove the monkey from your shoulder. Why can't you just do that?
I'll post it. You see, as I've said, I understand the politics behind it. I understand what they're waiting to hear me say. I understand. You see, the
You
problem...
think they have more ammunition against you?
There's no ammunition. They just want to distort things. And I promise you, I have nothing to hide. And I'll be able to, let me finish this court process. I'll come. I can even, if you give me time, I can even bring lecturers and classmates to come for the show. In fact, even I hope I can open for them, help them set up in Nairobi, because it's a brilliant institution. I learned about it from actually colleagues, in those days at the National Treasury, and I'm also sorry to them that they have been dragged through this. And for everyone who's been dragged through this, there are many people who believe in me, who want me to say what you're saying. But I'm just asking them for patience because I understand this process. I did that program. I got my degree in October of 2016.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, that if there are people who are, and there are, who are waiting for you to say, look, just tell us what it is so that we can move forward. Because court process or not, the courts, this whole legal thing, that in their minds, they're waiting for you to remove that block for them. It doesn't matter what the court will take. And if you don't do that, then this speculation...
I thought what I've done today is to do that.
Sure, but I mean...
Or you want me to come with the government?
No, to say it, Sir Johnson.
I've said it. Yeah.
No, it's really, really important.
I think I've said it.
Mheshimiwa, there's a Kenyan phrase that describes this thing, for avoidance of doubt.
There's for avoidance of doubt, but also there's in the abundance of caution.
Yes.
Those two have to... They
go hand in hand.
But I just want to assure, I've had supporters for years. There are many young people who look up to me.
Yes.
There are many old people who also, support me because they see a future for our country. I want to tell them that I will not disappoint them. and they will understand why I've treated this in the manner I have. Part of the surprise, by the way, and this is something I did very quietly, is that when I went to the CUE, and someone there, very senior, confessed to me that, we are waiting for you to bring something different. We didn't know this is what you're coming with. We thought what you'd bring here is probably a fake thing from the University of Nairobi. Remember, the DCI, without being prompted, wrote to the VC, etc. Oh, we thought you'd bring something. So these guys, they don't know what to do. And that's why I sat a whole day. I found the commissioners staring blankly at each other. This, the leader of Azimio in Migori, Professor Chacha, the chairman, the CEO Mwena Ntaragwi, and Lucy Kambuni, in a boardroom, looking at each other that, yes, we've written to Uganda, to the university, they've written back, and they've claimed it. I sat there from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. until I sent a text. And I'll show you that. Okay, I won't show you. I don't have the behavior my predecessor had. I sent a text. And that text, I described something. Only me and the person I sent to, very powerful. Understand? In 2 minutes, I got the letter and a missed call from him. I chose not to pick it because I was going to be clear the next day. We might tell each other things. And then
That could be
find myself not, And let me tell you, for me to even name certain people, it's not easy. But understanding how this thing is, I know there are people who, so long as no one knows what they're doing, they will do it. And they will keep doing it.
Okay.
I stand by the truth. I stand by my credentials. In fact, what I'll do, by the next one, let me even just come with a PhD or a master's. Go finish the UN one and whatnot, and I'll do it. But ultimately, what defines me as a leader and me as an individual is who I am and who I've been to the people of this country.
Johnson SAKAJA, thank you very much for coming.
We've not even discussed the manifesto. We've
Imagine.
not discussed Nairobi.
Yes. Next
Manifesto we can
after-
get hold of.
Go to court. We understand you're going to court this morning.
Yeah.
Go to court.
No, I
finish
told
this
you
process.
how they work. So today,
I want you
there's
to
court,
come and we discuss your manifesto.
There's
You're launching it on the 12th.
There's impending arrest. Now what I want to say is, there's this forgery or there's this what, because they're asking me to present things so that they can say, we have a new forensic lab and we've tested this. And once I say that, you don't know, you can't discount it.
Yeah.
I understand the game and I'm ready for anything. Yeah.
Once you launch your manifesto, come.
I'm inviting you guys for the launch. Though the concept could be different. Because you've seen everyone calls people in a room and announces it. Like, it could be different. But I'll let you guys know.
Well, after you launch your manifesto, come, let's talk about it.
Okay. And after swearing in?
Come.
Asante.
If you get elected as governor, come very many times.
And when you're governor, continue coming.
We'll be coming. And we'll make Nairobi work.
Thank you, Johnson.
Thank you.